What if the man draining a stranger's bank account had no idea someone else's eyes were already inside his machine, watching every secret unfold? Ethan Vale moved through the scammer's desktop like a whisper, sliding under a locked door, feeling the static tension of stolen moments and quiet panic. The cursor on the scammer's screen drifted, opening folders stuffed with scripts, victim notes, and a dashboard blinking with fresh targets. Ethan sensed the trembling pulse of a network wired for manipulation, each window revealing patterns of greed stitched into digital corridors. Behind it all sat a hidden directory labeled Master Access, carrying the magnetic pull of something orchestrated by hands far more dangerous than the man clicking nervously at his cluttered desk, unaware that his entire world was already compromised. Ethan moved carefully through the scammer's file system, letting each folder open like a whispered confession. Scripts marked urgent contained rehearsed lines meant to manipulate fear, while spreadsheets logged the slow bleeding of victims who never saw the trap closing. He felt the weight of each digital footprint, aware he was trespassing in a world built on deception. A flicker in the corner of his screen revealed a live status board tracking ongoing scams, time-stamped and chillingly casual. Every action the scammer took rippled across Ethan's monitors, turning the room into a quiet chamber of stolen truths. He followed the paths deeper, noticing odd symbols and signatures that suggested a larger hand guiding the chaos from above, a presence disciplined enough to remain hidden behind misdirection and false trails. The deeper Ethan went, the more the scammer's nervous habits became visible in real time. The man jumped between folders as if trying to bury mistakes, unaware Ethan could see every frantic motion mirrored on his screen. A sudden window labeled Live Calls appeared, displaying running notes about current victims. Ethan felt a tightening in his chest as he realized a fresh attack was happening at that very moment. The scammer rehearsed lines under his breath, clicking through instructions crafted to break trust and sow fear. Ethan hovered silently in the network, watching manipulation unfold like a scripted performance. He saw desperation woven into every move, the kind born from a system that taught people to harvest innocence for profit. Within minutes, Ethan located a network thread linking the scammer's machine to a remote server farm. The connection pulsed like a heartbeat, steady and deliberate, guided by architecture too complex for someone working alone. He traced data packets through encrypted tunnels, each revealing fragments of a larger operation. Lila's quiet voice in his earpiece described the pathways as branching into mirrored servers, spread across regions. The structure hinted at hierarchy, layers built to protect someone powerful. Ethan paused as he uncovered a directory containing internal memos that referenced someone named Rex, a figure spoken of with a mix of fear and reverence. The realization chilled him. This wasn't just a scammer's messy workstation, but the outer shell of a vast hidden empire. Ethan's rhythm slowed as he reached the hidden directory again. The name Master Access pulsed with quiet significance, radiating the kind of confidence only someone at the top of a carefully controlled structure would embed. He opened it cautiously, bracing for alarms, but instead found documents detailing operational standards, internal penalties, and rules so rigid they felt militaristic. This wasn't some chaotic scam mill. It was a disciplined enterprise. The scammer himself seemed more like a cog forced into motion than an architect of deception. Ethan scrolled further, stopping at references to remote wipe protocols and security monitors that reported directly to a single identistrator. Whatever this operation was, its true center had yet to reveal itself, hiding in the shadows of someone else's mistakes. Ethan followed the mirrored servers like a diver slipping into darker waters, each hop revealing fragments of a machine built for deception. Data pulsed through encrypted chambers, forming patterns too deliberate to be accidents. Lila traced an algorithm looping through nodes across continents, stitching stolen identities into usable masks. Ethan felt an unease growing as he stepped deeper into the system, watching mirrored drives replicate every command he made in real time, as if anticipating his moves. The architecture was clinical, shaped by precision rather than panic, hinting at someone who understood human behavior as well as code. What began as a random intrusion was becoming a guided descent, each click drawing them closer to the hidden core of an unseen mind. The next server revealed something colder. Recordings of real calls, each capturing the moment a victim broke under engineered fear. Ethan listened as one scammer guided a trembling voice through steps meant to drain a lifetime of savings. The manipulation disguised as help. The emotional dissonance struck him, the casual cruelty woven into scripts designed to exploit trust. Lila cataloged each recording, tagging metadata while her silence grew heavier with every file. The scam center wasn't improvising. This was industrialized exploitation. Every voice, every hesitation, every plea had been analyzed to refine the next deception. Ethan felt an urge to push deeper, not out of curiosity, but because the scale of suffering demanded it. As Ethan scrolled through live dashboards, one window flashed red, pulling him into a real-time attack. A scammer guided an elderly victim toward a gift card terminal, voice dripping with false urgency. Ethan felt the helpless tension of watching harm unfold, the call center's strategy reducing human beings to predictable reactions. He traced the connection, identifying the scammer's terminal in seconds. Lila injected a silent script that disrupted the flow just enough to stall the scammer, buying precious time. Ethan watched the attacker grow frustrated, clicking rapidly as his prompts failed. In that brief pause, the victim hesitated, confusion breaking the manipulation's tempo. It was the smallest intervention, but enough to fracture the illusion the scammer depended on. While Ethan monitored the stalled call, Lila probed deeper into the server registry and found encrypted signatures tied not to a single operator, but to a central coordinator. The logs showed timestamps too synchronized for chance, each scammer triggered like a performer, following cues from an unseen director. Ethan traced the routing table and uncovered overlapping IP tunnels, pointing toward a concealed cluster. The structure was deliberate, built to shield a controlling presence from every angle. As he read through configuration files, a name surfaced repeatedly in shorthand annotations. Rex. The tone of the notes suggested compliance, even fear. Whoever Rex was, his influence stretched across every crevice of the network with disciplined precision. The discovery of Rex shifted everything. Ethan realized the scammer he'd infiltrated was merely a disposable endpoint in a far-reaching design. Lila mapped connections branching toward regions known for sophisticated digital laundering rings. The deeper they looked, the clearer the hierarchy became. Operators fed data upward, while commands came down in tightly controlled bursts. Ethan found a cluster of encrypted memos that read like instructions issued from someone who understood both technology and psychology. Each directive emphasized obedience, efficiency, and profit. He followed a final thread into a secured vault and saw something chilling. Logs showing that Rex monitored intrusions personally. For the first time, Ethan felt the sensation of being watched back. Marcus listened in silence as Ethan described the network structure, his tone carrying the weight of someone who had chased ghosts like this before. He explained that Rex wasn't a myth, but a strategist who built empires behind disposable operators, leaving no fingerprints beyond digital echoes. Ethan felt a chill as Marcus recounted stories of cases where entire scam centers vanished overnight, wiped clean before authorities arrived. The precision sounded familiar. Too familiar, reminding Ethan of the military-like rules embedded in the Master Access Directory. Lila cross-checked Marcus's intel with server logs, finding overlapping patterns that confirmed the reach of this phantom kingpin. The realization pressed on them. They weren't navigating a scattered network, but trespassing inside a structure engineered by someone who planned several steps ahead. Ethan returned to the mirrored servers, searching for the thread Marcus described. Buried inside a disguised partition, he found files referencing remote wipe protocols capable of erasing entire clusters in seconds. The language was clinical, almost rehearsed, as if Rex expected intrusions and prepared for them long before they occurred. Lila decrypted fragments that revealed how operators were trained to deflect suspicion, discard identities, and disappear without warning. Ethan realized that every scammer he saw was positioned like a pawn on a board designed to collapse if compromised. The deeper they went, the more apparent it became that Rex didn't fear exposure. He controlled the ground beneath anyone who dared approach. Ethan felt the stakes shift as he recognized the architecture of a mind that built defenses by weaponizing invisibility. The next discovery was worse. Lila found a subnetwork dedicated to laundering stolen identities through digital marketplaces, each profile crafted from fragments of real victims. Ethan opened one archive and saw hundreds of reconstructed personas sold in silent auctions, their personal histories reduced to data points priced for exploitation. The orchestration was meticulous, showing a designer who treated human identity as malleable clay. Ethan felt a quiet anger build as he scrolled through the patterns, noting how the system paired vulnerabilities with buyers in seconds. Marcus warned them to tread lightly. This part of the network was known to trigger alerts for even minor disturbances. Ethan moved carefully, aware that any misstep could reveal their presence to the one man capable of shutting everything down with a single command. As Ethan navigated deeper into the subnetwork, the system changed. The smooth paths fragmented into shifting tunnels, redirecting him through mazes built to confuse intruders. Lila warned that segments of the code resembled adaptive traps, systems designed to detect patterns of human exploration and respond with misleading routes. Ethan followed the safest thread he could find, but the environment reacted defensively, generating phantom directories and false logs. Marcus studied the behavior and concluded that Rex wasn't relying solely on automation. Someone was monitoring high-risk sectors manually. The idea that Rex might be nearby, watching from behind a silent terminal, added a new tension to the air. Ethan steadied himself, knowing he had to stay invisible while navigating a structure meant to expose the unprepared. The moment the trap triggered, Ethan felt it. A sudden spike flashed across the network map, signaling a silent alert. The system froze for a breath, then redirected him to a diagnostic window designed to analyze intruders. Ethan killed his process instantly, slipping into a dormant layer before the system could complete its trace. Lila monitored the cascade and confirmed the alert originated from Rex's private cluster. That meant Rex knew something was inside his network, but not who and not where. Marcus urged caution, reminding them that Rex's response would be calculated rather than impulsive. Ethan steadied his breathing as he lay hidden in the network's shadows, realizing he had crossed from observation into open territory, where every move would now be a duel against someone who built labyrinths for sport. Ethan resurfaced inside the deepest chamber of the network, slipping through a blind spot Lila discovered between two mirrored partitions. When the directory finished loading, he realized he was staring into Rex's personal workstation. No clutter, no chaos, just a clinical interface shaped by absolute control. Every file was labeled with careful precision, and the silence around him felt heavier than anything he'd seen before. Marcus murmured that this was the kind of environment built by someone who trusted no one, someone who measured loyalty by obedience. Ethan scanned through logs that mapped operations across continents with military-like structure, realizing he was standing at the heart of a machine that consumed entire lives without hesitation. He sensed the magnitude of the risk. Once he touched anything in this space, Rex would feel it. The deeper Ethan explored, the clearer Rex's methods became. He watched recordings of Rex coordinating operators with surgical precision, each command designed to reshape human fear into profit. Rex spoke with calm authority in captured audio logs, guiding hundreds of moving pieces like a conductor shaping a violent symphony. Ethan felt a simmering anger rise as he saw the confidence in Rex's tone, the the way he treated victims as disposable resources. Lila tracked timestamps and confirmed that the system updated in real time, meaning Rex might be issuing instructions at that very moment. Ethan scrolled through recent logs and noticed subtle notations, small enough to miss, but unmistakably personal, revealing a mind obsessed with control and perfection. Ethan hovered over the internal tools, each command carrying the weight of irreversible consequences. One script offered complete destruction of the workstation, another allowed live intervention in ongoing operations, and a third granted access to encrypted financial logs. The temptation to shut everything down pulled at him like gravity, but Marcus's voice pressed the opposite direction, warning that rushing could vaporize evidence that might never be recovered. Ethan felt the conflict twist inside him. Justice demanded action, but justice without proof would free a man who built an empire on exploitation. Lila urged patience, her calm voice grounding him as he steadied his breathing. The room felt smaller, the silence sharper, as Ethan accepted that restraint now required more courage than destruction. Marcus's voice sharpened as Ethan opened a directory labeled System Cunning, revealing administrator privileges that surpassed anything they'd seen. The access was total. Power Rex kept for himself, hidden from every operator. Ethan studied command logs showing automated alerts, surveillance pathways, and behavioral predictors for detecting intrusions. As he scrolled, he found entries referencing anomaly patterns, each paired with countermeasures designed to expose unauthorized presence. Lila analyzed the scripts and confirmed the truth. The system wasn't just defensive, it learned from intrusions. Ethan froze as he realized the algorithm might already be studying his movements, cataloging habits he didn't know he had. The idea that Rex used unpredictability as a weapon tightened the tension around him until the room felt airless. Rex's system lurched unexpectedly, shifting into a diagnostic state that sent a ripple of static through Ethan's monitors. Lila's voice dropped as she confirmed that the network had detected something irregular. Ethan held still, stopping every process, burying himself in the smallest corner of the architecture where he could remain hidden. The system scanned the environment with mechanical patience, its searches sweeping across logs and active threads, hunting for the disturbance. Marcus whispered that this was Rex's signature, moving slowly enough to force mistakes, waiting for panic to betray intruders. Ethan steadied his hands and watched the scan crawl past, aware that one misplaced packet could reveal everything. The silence grew heavier until the scan finally drifted away, uncertain but unsatisfied. Lila's mapping script unfolded the network like an anatomical diagram, exposing layers of structure none of them had anticipated. What looked chaotic from the surface revealed itself as a disciplined lattice of roles, permissions, and silent watchers placed at every junction. Ethan traced the hierarchy from disposable callers to regional handlers, and finally to encrypted nodes that funneled every stolen dollar into hidden channels. Marcus murmured that this resembled a covert operation more than a criminal ring, shaped by someone who understood pressure points and human frailty. Ethan followed branching routes that curved back toward Rex's private cluster, noticing how each thread depended on his oversight. Everything flowed upward to one mind, one architect, one unseen presence, steering an empire hidden behind ordinary voices and anonymous screens. Ethan slipped deeper into Rex's operational core and watched money mules shift stolen funds across borders with uncanny precision. Each handler worked under strict schedules, forwarding transactions through chains designed to confuse investigators. He observed chats where Rex issued directives with chilling calm, reminding his operatives that hesitation cost profit. The conversations revealed how the network exploited desperation, pulling people into roles they couldn't escape once they'd taken their first payment. Ethan saw how fear and debt shaped compliance, turning ordinary individuals into instruments of a system too vast for them to challenge. Behind every instruction was the unmistakable signature of someone who measured success not in dollars, but in control. The folder labeled vault felt heavier than anything Ethan had opened before. Inside were financial trails mapping every stolen dollar, organized with near-military discipline. Thousands of victims appeared in neatly cataloged rows, their losses displayed like inventory. Ethan felt his breath tighten as he scrolled through account numbers, transaction histories, and automated scripts that drained people without them realizing. Until it was too late. Lila began copying logs into a secure container, whispering updates as she verified each chunk of data. Marcus reminded them that this was the kind of evidence that ended empires, the kind prosecutors dreamed of but rarely reached. Ethan sensed the scale of what they now carried, the truth, pulled from the heart of a machine built on silence. Ethan initiated a silent siphoning protocol, copying the vault's contents through a narrow window that bypassed Rex alert systems. Each transfer felt like lifting treasure from beneath a sleeping giant, the risk of detection hanging over every second. Lila monitored the packet flow, adjusting bandwidth to keep the system from noticing the subtle drain. Marcus urged them to pace themselves, reminding Ethan that a single spike could trigger the remote wipe protocol they'd discovered earlier. The files trickled through one fragment at a time, forming a growing archive that documented the Empire's darkest operations. Ethan's pulse steadied as the download neared completion, though he couldn't shake the feeling that the silence meant Rex's attention was shifting. The calm shattered when Rex's system launched a deep scan, ripping through the network with colder precision than anything they'd seen before. Lila's voice tightened as she tracked the scan's sweep, watching pathways illuminate in red as the system searched for anomalies. Ethan minimized every operation, shutting down protocols and burying copied data beneath layers of decoys. Marcus warned that Rex likely sensed a disturbance, even if he couldn't pinpoint the source yet. The scan moved through mirrored servers, dissecting logs and checking for mismatches between expected behavior and hidden activity. Ethan held steady, trusting the camouflage he'd built. When the scan finally paused near the vault sector, the tension in the room thickened. One wrong footprint would reveal everything. Ethan followed the last encrypted thread until it opened into a control panel unlike anything he had touched before. Rows of toggles, hidden subsystems, and dormant scripts waited for a command that could redirect the entire Empire with a single keystroke. It was pure authority. Rex's throne room carved into code. Lila whispered that the permissions displayed here belonged only to a master administrator, someone who kept every operator beneath layers of controlled ignorance. Ethan scrolled through logs, showing how Rex rerouted funds, authorized new scam centers, and shut down compromised nodes with ruthless precision. The realization settled like ice. He wasn't just inside Rex's system. He was holding the reins, fully capable of bending or breaking everything Rex built. For a moment he wondered whether justice demanded restraint or decisive ruin. Marcus's voice sharpened with urgency as he explained the legal weight of what Ethan now possessed. Extracting evidence was one thing, but altering these controls would cross a line no court could protect. Ethan felt the pressure press against him like a tightening vice, the realization that one instinctive move could erase hundreds of victims' chances at justice. Lila examined the system from her side, noting that any premature command might trigger chains of automated protocols designed to seal or destroy sensitive data. Ethan steadied himself, trying to separate impulse from responsibility. His breath slowed as he let the gravity of the moment settle, the quiet hum of his equipment echoing like a warning not to let anger blur the path forward. Lila's tracing script uncovered a hidden subsystem buried beneath layers of encryption. The architecture was intentionally separate, isolated like a sealed vault, waiting for a crisis. When she decrypted the first fragment, the truth hit hard. It was a kill switch, a mechanism designed to wipe the entire Empire clean in less than a minute. Ethan felt the danger coil around them. If Rex sensed intrusion or saw even a flicker out of place, he could vaporize every piece of evidence they fought to gather. Lila's voice stayed steady as she mapped the output paths, showing how the wipe cascaded through mirrored servers and backup nodes with unstoppable precision. Ethan studied the diagram, aware that they were now racing someone clever enough to set fire to his world rather than surrender it. The race began as Ethan dove into the subsystem, searching for a way to intercept or disable the kill switch signal. Every command felt like walking a razor's edge, each action needing to mimic Rex patterns to avoid detection. Lila guided him through hidden bypasses, whispering string values and timing intervals while Marcus monitored the network for sudden shifts. The system reacted like a living thing, tightening around them with adaptive logic that predicted deviations in behavior. Ethan routed false echoes into the monitoring channels, creating the illusion of normal activity as he severed the kill switch's outbound line. His pulse hammered while he worked, the tension rising with every second the system remained unaware. When the final thread snapped free, he felt a breath of victory break through the surrounding pressure. Just as Ethan finished disabling the final route, a surge of activity erupted inside the network. Rex had noticed something. Maybe a delay, maybe a strange thread pattern, maybe just a feeling, but the system lit up with renewed scans and rapid diagnostic pings. Ethan froze, letting every process fall silent as he hid behind dead-end logs and dormant routines. Lila whispered updates as red pathways flared across her screens, showing Rex's attention sweeping through the infrastructure like a storm passing through steel corridors. Marcus warned that this was the moment Rex became dangerous, acting with precision instead of panic. Ethan steadied himself, understanding that invisibility now depended on resisting every instinct to move. Oh, Rex was searching for him, but Ethan intended to remain a shadow. Rex's attention surged through the network like a forming storm, but Ethan no longer needed to run. With the kill switch severed and the vault secured, he accessed a panel buried in the deepest layer of the system, one designed for Rex alone. A single command froze every active process across the Empire, suspending call centers, money channels, and mirrored servers in perfect stillness. Lila confirmed that outbound traffic flatlined in an instant, the network holding its breath like prey caught in a hunter's light. Marcus murmured that Ethan had done what agencies failed to accomplish for years. Ethan stared at the halted infrastructure, knowing Rex would feel the sudden silence. This was the moment the Phantom Kingpin would realize someone had reached the core and taken control. Across the network, Rex's private terminal reacted with a flicker of panic. Ethan watched command line entries appear and vanish, each one an attempt to revive subsystems that no longer obeyed him. For the first time, the Phantom Kingpin showed cracks, hesitation, uncertainty, the realization that his authority was slipping. Lila tracked his actions as he pushed deeper into the system, trying to reassert control. Marcus recognized the pattern. Rex wasn't retreating. He was preparing a counterattack. Ethan pulled up the admin console and saw Rex's keystrokes accelerate, searching for hidden levers he assumed still existed. Yet every path was locked, every command swallowed by a silence Ethan imposed. The hunter felt hunted, and the balance finally shifted. Rex launched automated recovery scripts, but Ethan countered each one with calm precision. Every block widened the gap between them, turning Rex's empire into a silent shell. Lila confirmed that Rex was now isolated inside his own system, trapped behind walls he built for others. Marcus urged Ethan to stay focused. Cornered predators were unpredictable, especially ones who built labyrinths as armor. The final struggle unfolded without sound, two minds clashing through keystrokes and buried logic. Ethan severed the last administrative thread connecting Rex to his frozen infrastructure, leaving him locked inside a powerless command center. For a moment, Ethan paused, absorbing the weight of what he'd done. Rex was no longer untouchable. He was alone in a cage he forged himself. Ethan hovered over the option that could erase everything. One command would reduce Rex's empire to dust, leaving nothing but a memory. The temptation struck with raw intensity. Every victim, every loss, every recorded voice begged for closure. But destruction would also bury the truth, erasing the evidence needed to bring Rex into daylight. Marcus's voice steadied him, reminding him that justice wasn't vengeance. Lila prepared an encrypted export, ready to transmit the full vault to global authorities. Ethan exhaled slowly, letting anger dissolve into purpose. Instead of pressing the wipe command, he deployed a silent packet that bundled every log, recording, and financial trail into an untraceable route that bypassed Rex's surveillance entirely. The transmission completed as sirens rose somewhere far beyond Ethan's window. Authorities around the world began receiving packets of irrefutable evidence, financial trails, call logs, internal memos, and the entire hierarchy of Rex Empire. Ethan watched Rex terminal go still, the man frozen as the weight of consequences closed in. Lila confirmed that the network was collapsing into forensic custody, each server being mirrored by investigators armed with everything they needed. Marcus exhaled with quiet relief, calling it the cleanest takedown he'd seen in decades. Ethan closed the remote window one final time, leaving Rex behind as law enforcement converged. No one would know his name, but somewhere in the silence, he felt justice settle like a final breath.